There are moments in life when the best response is no response at all. The world often pressures us to speak, to share, to give our opinion, but let me tell you, silence can be far more powerful than words. There are times when saying nothing can protect you, help you grow, and allow others to reveal themselves. Today, we will explore 7 times when you should choose silence over speech. First, when you're angry. Anger has a way of clouding our judgment and distorting our thoughts. In those moments when your emotions are running high, pause. Take a breath, step back. Saying things in the heat of anger often leads to regret and creates wounds that can take years to heal. Choose silence until you can speak with a clear mind. Second, when you're feeling disrespected. It's natural to want to defend yourself, to react when you feel belittled or overlooked. But sometimes your silence speaks louder than any words you could say. By remaining composed, you show others that their words don't hold power over your peace. In such moments, silence preserves your dignity and self-respect. Third, when you don't have all the facts. We all know that sometimes we rush to speak without fully understanding the situation. But remember, informed speech is far more impactful than an uninformed response. When you don't know the whole story, it's better to listen than to speak. Ask questions, observe, and let the truth unfold before forming an opinion. Fourth, when you are under pressure. Pressure can distort our thoughts and cause us to react impulsively. If you're in a high-stakes situation where every word counts, take a moment to breathe before speaking. Your response will be more thoughtful, your actions more deliberate, and you'll be more in control of how things unfold. Fifth, when others are speaking from their pain. People often say things that hurt, but those words are often a reflection of their own struggles. In these moments, it's not your words that they need your understanding and your presence. Sometimes all you can do is listen and offer empathy. Your silence in these moments can create a safe space for healing. Sixth, when you're trying to build relationships. Communication is not just about talking, it's about listening. If you're constantly talking, constantly offering advice, you might miss the chance to truly connect. Sometimes silence allows the other person to feel heard and understood. It is in these moments that deep connections are made, when you create room for someone else to share their truth. Seventh, when you're reflecting on your own growth. In moments of self-reflection, it's essential to remain quiet, to listen to the voice within. This is where you gather your strength, your wisdom, and your clarity. In those moments of stillness, you can connect with your higher self and grow into the person you are meant to be. Silence is often undervalued in a world that constantly encourages speaking up and expressing oneself. However, when we understand the power of silence, we realize that it can be an incredibly effective tool in communication, especially in challenging or emotionally charged situations. Choosing to remain silent can prevent misunderstandings, diffuse potential conflicts, and create space for more meaningful interactions. The power of silence is not simply about withholding words, it is about using restraint to achieve a greater sense of clarity and calm. Silence can serve as a bridge that helps us understand situations better, ensuring that our words are carefully chosen and delivered with purpose. In moments of intense emotions, when anger, frustration, or hurt are overwhelming, silence allows us to step back and collect our thoughts. When we are angry, our natural impulse is often to react impulsively, to lash out with words that may not truly represent our feelings or the situation at hand. However, anger clouds our judgment. It is a powerful emotion that can distort our perception of reality. In these moments, the temptation to speak is strong, but so often when we do, we regret it. Words said in anger can leave lasting scars, sometimes irreparable. The power of silence in these moments lies in its ability to create distance between us and the emotions driving our response. When we choose not to speak immediately, we give ourselves the chance to reflect and understand why we are feeling the way we do. This pause allows us to process our emotions and approach the situation from a more rational and balanced perspective. Instead of reacting with anger, we can respond with calmness and understanding, which is far more likely to lead to positive outcomes. Silence in these moments is not weakness, it is strength. It is the strength to hold back, to resist the urge to speak before thinking, and to choose a response that is mindful and considerate. Silence can also foster better communication by allowing us to truly listen. Often, in conversations, we focus so much on what we want to say next that we fail to fully hear what the other person is communicating. When we are silent, we create space for the other person to share their thoughts and feelings. This act of listening attentively can transform a conversation into an opportunity for greater connection and understanding. People often feel valued and heard when they are given the chance to express themselves without interruption. In fact, listening deeply is one of the most powerful ways we can communicate, and silence is the vehicle that allows us to do so. Another reason silence is powerful is that it can prevent unnecessary conflict. In many situations, speaking in the heat of the moment only serves to escalate the tension. By not reacting immediately, we allow the situation to settle and gain perspective on the matter at hand. Sometimes conflicts arise because emotions are running high, and words can add fuel to the fire. However, silence acts as a pause, creating a cooling-off period that prevents us from saying things we might later regret. It is often said that time heals all wounds, and silence provides the time needed to calm emotions and come to a more thoughtful conclusion. When we embrace the power of silence, we also learn to trust ourselves in the process. Silence teaches us patience. It is a reminder that not everything requires an immediate response. Some things are better left unsaid until we have the clarity to address them appropriately. Trusting in the ability to communicate more effectively when the time is right allows us to build healthier relationships and handle difficult situations with grace. In essence, silence is not simply about saying nothing, it is about choosing to pause, reflect, and act with intention. In a world where we are constantly encouraged to speak, silence becomes a rare and precious tool, one that enables us to listen, think, and respond thoughtfully. It can deepen our relationships, enhance our self-awareness, and foster understanding in even the most challenging circumstances. So when emotions run high, when tempers flare, and when conflict seems inevitable, remember the power of silence. It's often in those moments that saying nothing is the wisest and most empowering choice we can make. When you're feeling disrespected, it's natural to want to defend yourself. The impulse to speak out, to protect your dignity, and to assert yourself is a common and understandable response. However, there are times when holding your tongue in the face of disrespect can be the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. In moments where disrespect is directed toward you, silence has the ability to preserve your dignity, protect your peace, and even disarm the person who is trying to provoke a reaction from you. Let's consider the nature of disrespect. Disrespect often stems from a place of insecurity, frustration, or misunderstanding. People who lash out with disrespect may be projecting their own pain, projecting their frustration onto others, or acting impulsively without fully thinking about the consequences of their words or actions. When we respond to disrespect in the same way, by reacting with anger, frustration, or retaliatory words, we are only feeding into the negative energy. The cycle of disrespect can escalate quickly, leaving both parties more hurt than before, and creating more distance rather than healing the rift. In those moments, silence serves as a shield. By not engaging with disrespect, you disarm the person who is trying to provoke you. Often when we stay silent, especially in the face of provocation, the other person is caught off guard. They may expect you to fight back, to retaliate with a cutting remark or defensive stance. But when you choose not to speak, when you remain calm and collected, it forces the other person to confront their own actions. Your silence sends the message that their words don't have the power to affect you. It shows that you are not willing to participate in their negativity, and it often leaves them with no choice but to reconsider their approach. Silence also protects your peace. Engaging with disrespect, especially if it's aimed at you personally, can chip away at your emotional well-being. Even if you don't engage in an argument, simply the act of reacting to an insult can stir up emotions that disrupt your inner peace. The anger, frustration, or hurt that comes with responding to disrespect can linger, affecting your mood and your day. By choosing not to respond, you take back control of your emotions. You don't allow the negativity of others to invade your space or disturb your emotional state. In these moments, your silence is an act of self-care. You are choosing to protect your peace rather than letting someone else's words define your mood or your day. Additionally, when you choose silence in the face of disrespect, you maintain your dignity. Responding to disrespect with anger or a harsh rebuttal may provide temporary satisfaction, but it often leaves you feeling regretful afterward. Words spoken in the heat of the moment can cause irreversible damage to relationships, whether they're personal or professional. By staying silent, you take the higher ground. You show that you are not easily swayed by petty insults and that your sense of self-worth is not dependent on the opinions or judgments of others. In choosing silence, you affirm your value without needing to prove it to anyone. Your silence becomes a silent but powerful declaration of your self-respect. In situations where disrespect is aimed at you, silence can also be a tool for reflection. Sometimes when we are insulted or belittled, our immediate reaction is to defend ourselves or to respond in kind. However, taking a moment of silence gives you the opportunity to reflect on the situation and to assess whether or not a response is truly necessary. Is it worth engaging with this person, or is the disrespect coming from a place of ignorance or hurt? Will your words bring about positive change, or will they simply escalate the situation further? This brief moment of reflection can help you decide how to proceed, and sometimes the best course of action is simply to say nothing at all. Silence allows you to remain in control of the situation. When you speak out in anger or frustration, you risk losing your composure and giving the other person the satisfaction of seeing you upset. But when you remain silent, you hold on to your emotional equilibrium. You remain composed, and in doing so, you project strength and maturity. People who truly respect you will recognize this ability to stay calm in the face of provocation, and they will respect you more for it. On the other hand, unsolicited advice can often be more harmful than helpful. In these situations, the urge to fix things or offer a solution is natural, especially when we care deeply about someone. However, sometimes the best course of action is to simply remain silent and allow the person to navigate their feelings without adding to their emotional burden.
Offering advice at the wrong moment can not only feel dismissive, but can also prevent the person from experiencing the catharsis they need to process their emotions.
When people are struggling, whether it's with grief, anxiety, stress, or any other difficult situation, they often need someone who will simply listen. Sometimes the best way to help is to hold space for their pain without trying to solve it. Offering advice when someone is in the thick of their emotions can inadvertently undermine their experience. It may make them feel as though their feelings are being dismissed or that their struggle is being minimized. When we step in too soon with solutions, we can unintentionally send the message that their emotions are not valid or that they don't need to be fully processed. The reality is that people often don't need to hear "just get over it" or "everything happens for a reason" when they are in the midst of an emotional storm. These well-meaning phrases can feel cold and dismissive to someone who is already struggling. While advice can be valuable later on, it is usually not what a person needs in the moment. What they need is compassion and understanding. Silence gives them the space to articulate their feelings and process their emotions at their own pace without being rushed into a resolution. By remaining silent, you show respect for their emotional journey and trust that they will come to their own conclusions when they are ready. Moreover, silence allows the person to reflect on their own thoughts and feelings, which is an important part of emotional healing. When we offer advice too quickly, we sometimes take away the opportunity for the other person to make sense of their experience on their own terms. When left with space, they can ask themselves the tough questions, think deeply about their situation, and arrive at their own insights. This process of self-reflection is often more healing and empowering than any advice we could offer. People need to feel that they are in control of their healing process, and forcing a solution on them can make them feel disempowered. In some cases, people who are struggling already know what they need to do. They just need someone to validate their feelings and allow them to vent. Rather than offering advice, simply being a sounding board can be incredibly valuable. By listening attentively and offering empathy, you show the person that they are not alone in their experience. Your silence, in this case, becomes an act of compassion. You're not offering solutions, but you're offering your presence, and sometimes that's all someone truly needs. It's important to recognize that silence does not mean indifference or a lack of care. Quite the opposite, in fact. Remaining silent in moments of emotional distress shows that you care enough to respect the other person's process. You understand that healing and growth are not always about external fixes, but about internal understanding and self-discovery. By staying silent, you communicate that you trust them to work through their challenges and that you believe in their ability to come to the right decision in their own time. Sometimes when we do speak too soon, our words can unintentionally invalidate someone's experience. For example, telling someone to move on from their grief or to look at the bright side of a difficult situation can make them feel like their emotions are unwelcome. Grief in particular is an experience that cannot be rushed. People need the time and space to mourn, reflect, and ultimately heal in their own way. While advice may seem helpful in theory, it's important to consider that sometimes it can be an obstacle to the emotional process rather than a facilitator. Additionally, unsolicited advice can sometimes even create a sense of guilt or pressure in the person who is suffering. They may feel as though they're failing if they cannot immediately implement the advice, or worse, they may feel inadequate for not taking action when they're still processing their emotions. This can cause further distress, and instead of feeling supported, they may feel even more overwhelmed. By choosing silence instead of offering advice, you allow them to feel less pressure and more freedom to process things at their own pace. In these moments, it's crucial to recognize that our silence is not a lack of care, it's a sign of deep respect. When we remain silent and simply listen, we affirm the other person's right to feel what they feel, to be where they are emotionally, and to navigate their situation in their own time. This is one of the most supportive things we can do for someone who is going through a tough time. In choosing silence, we allow space for healing, reflection, and growth. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give someone is our silent presence, trusting that they will find their own path forward when they are ready. There are moments in life when we may witness someone making a mistake or taking a misstep, and the temptation to speak up and offer a correction can be strong. However, it is essential to recognize that there are times when saying nothing and allowing people to make their own mistakes is not only respectful but also essential for their growth and learning. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to stay silent and let the individual experience the natural consequences of their actions, rather than intervening or pointing out their flaws in the moment. One of the key reasons to choose silence when witnessing someone make a mistake is the understanding that everyone learns best through their own experiences. Life is filled with opportunities for growth and development, but those opportunities often come through facing challenges or dealing with the consequences of one's actions. When we intervene too quickly or point out someone's mistake, we may rob them of the valuable lessons they need to learn on their own. These lessons may be uncomfortable, but they are often the ones that stick with us the most and shape our future decisions. By stepping back and allowing someone to navigate their own mistakes, we give them the space to reflect, adjust, and grow in a way that is far more meaningful than any advice or correction we could offer in the moment. Additionally, it's important to recognize that sometimes people are not ready to hear what we have to say. Offering advice or correcting someone before they are ready can often lead to resistance or even conflict. No one likes to be told they are wrong, and in many situations people are not open to receiving advice, especially when it comes to their mistakes. If they are not in the right mindset to listen or learn, our words may fall on deaf ears, or worse, they may damage the relationship by making the person feel judged or criticized. This can lead to unnecessary tension and hurt feelings, which could have been avoided by simply remaining silent and allowing the person to come to their own realization in their own time. Another reason silence is often the best course of action is the realization that people need space to process their actions. Everyone makes mistakes, and sometimes the best thing we can do is give someone the room to reflect on their behavior. When we immediately point out their mistake, we may not allow them the opportunity to fully recognize it themselves. Self-reflection is a crucial part of personal growth. And in order for someone to make lasting changes, they must first acknowledge their own mistakes. By staying silent, we create the space for that self-realization to occur naturally. This reflection can be more effective than any correction we offer because it comes from within, making it a deeper, more lasting lesson. Additionally, there are situations where we may not fully understand the circumstances surrounding someone's actions, and offering unsolicited advice could be based on incomplete or inaccurate information. People's decisions are often influenced by factors we may not be aware of, and stepping in without understanding the full context can lead to misguided advice or unnecessary criticism. When we choose to remain silent, we avoid making assumptions about someone's intentions or the reasons behind their actions. This allows us to be more respectful of their experience and their journey. By not speaking up, we honor their autonomy and avoid making judgments without a full understanding of the situation. Sometimes remaining silent in the face of a mistake is also a way to preserve the other person's dignity. Nobody likes to be called out in front of others, especially for mistakes that they are already aware of. Public correction can be humiliating, and it may cause unnecessary embarrassment or shame. If we choose to remain silent, we allow the person the space to correct their own mistake privately without feeling exposed or judged. This helps preserve their self-esteem and allows them to handle the situation with grace without additional pressure from others. In some cases, offering a gentle word of encouragement or support privately, rather than a public correction, can be more effective in helping someone learn from their mistake without causing emotional harm. In addition to preserving dignity, allowing someone to make a mistake can help them build resilience. Life is filled with challenges, and making mistakes is an inevitable part of the process. When we step back and let others make their own errors, we give them the opportunity to bounce back, learn, and become stronger as a result. This resilience is a critical skill that helps people face future challenges with confidence. If we constantly intervene and prevent mistakes from happening, we may inadvertently prevent the individual from developing the resilience they need to face life's difficulties. Ultimately, choosing silence when witnessing someone make a mistake is an act of trust and respect. It shows that we trust the person to learn and grow from their experiences, and that we respect their ability to make their own decisions. By stepping back, we allow them the freedom to learn at their own pace, without the pressure of external judgment or interference. This not only fosters their personal development, but also strengthens the relationship between us, as it shows that we value them enough to let them navigate their own path, even if it means making mistakes along the way. In this way, silence becomes not just a passive choice, but an active demonstration of support for someone's growth and autonomy.